Hi, everyone. Welcome to Freedom Friday. Hang on, I'll just. Oh, we've got four people now. I got to take that one person out. There's always a few little. This is part of the show, figuring out the little technical glitches. But hi, welcome to this new year, to that 2022, and it's been an amazing, well, amazing. Some people didn't think it was that amazing, but it was amazing in terms of DeFi and crypto and all the things that happened last year. And you know, we're going to have a little chat about that, and also a little chat about what's in the crystal ball and what we reckon is going to be for year 2022. But I reckon, and we'll finish off. I think it'll be good to finish off with some goal setting, because when you set goals, it creates a kind of an energetic structure for things to start happening. And so I think, and I think Tony, and perhaps even Rama, once I get his name on, will tell you, that there's a lot to look out for and a lot to look forward to. So welcome, guys. Welcome, Tony. Welcome, Rama. We're all together again. So fire
Yeah.
away, one of you.
Yeah. Hi, Gerald. Hi, everyone. Welcome to 2022. I'm pretty excited about this year because I think this year is going to be a pivotal year, and I'm looking forward. I think it's going to be topsy turvy. Yep, definitely on the geopolitical type front. There could be some challenges. But it's all part of the necessary transition that we're going through. So I'm pretty bullish on this year, and but we're going to see some big events, some big developments this year, which I'm going to go. I'm going to give a little bit of my view of what could be in store. And hi, Rama. Good to see you.
Yeah, do you
Yeah,
want to
thanks, guys.
give us a few words,
Yeah,
Rama? Yeah.
yeah. Hi, everyone. It's really awesome for me to be here. So my job is as a background support person, mainly for newbies. I've got into this space really recently, maybe a month ago, and it was a big learning curve. And I think I was doing that just so I can help other people jump on board, because there's so much to learn, so much going on, especially in the mind. It can be a bit overwhelming. So my job really is just to help new people get on board, help Tony and Gerald, so they free up their time to do their amazing stuff with the learning and everything, and just to help keep a high vibration, keep it positive, keep our mindset right, all that sort of stuff, behind the scenes sort of stuff. So I'm really happy to
Cool.
be here as well. Really
Yeah.
excited.
Cool. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, we're happy to have you.
Yeah.
So you've just shown initiative, and you've shown a real level of commitment that I think is awesome. So you've self promoted yourself to here. We're just by, and that's the sort of people we love to hang around with, and we're all initiators here. We're all creating a
Yeah.
new reality, and that's 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 beautiful. So
Self responsibility, isn't it?
yeah. So without further ado, I'm going to kick it off with my presentation. So I'm going to a bit of a recap on 2021 and up till this present time. Some of the big things that happened last year. A big one is firstly the market growth, the overall growth of crypto as a total market capitalization grew from 775 billion to over 2 trillion as it stands today. In fact, it nearly reached $3 trillion. in the latter part of last year. So that's more than triple growth, which is like phenomenal growth. When you think about it, they say if you want to know where we're going, look at where we've come. And that there is made a major statement on the world. So we can see that this is not a passing fad. It is not a some kind of scam. There's lots of scams within it, and we're here to unpack what we think are the gems, and to leave the rest behind. So, coupled with that, we've also seen the number of investors, a number of people who've been buying crypto has more than doubled as well. And so we're reaching a massive, Metcalfe's law is really starting to kick in. We are approaching 300 million people in the world now who have bought crypto and are holding crypto. So that is nearly 150 million more than the previous year. So do you think it's just going to suddenly slow down from here? No, I think not. And to echo Raoul Pol, he reckons that it's going to grow by more than double this year as well. So we're going to be looking at possibly up to 600 million people in crypto by the end of this year. So once we reach to that point, then all bets are off, and we are definitely going to be in for the ride of our lives. Also in 2021, we've seen this massive explosive growth in NFTs, and people might think that's going nowhere as well. But after the stats that I've just quoted, do you think if NFTs are just going to die on the vine? I don't think so either, because NFTs are the forerunner to tokenization of all assets, all property, all money will be eventually associated to a crypto. But it's the tokenization of assets that is the real interesting thing. Fractionalization of assets, so people can buy fractions of property, fractions of anything. And NFT is a kind of like a fraction, in that it's one token that you issue of your artwork or your creation. So it's kind of like a fractionalization in a sense. But it is going to lead to a massive change in the way we transact. Also, we've seen, coupled with that, we've seen the growth in decentralized finance, which we call DeFi for short, hence our name, DeFi Freedom, because we believe DeFi can bring freedom to the people. However, what we're seeing in the early days, it's still very clunky, and I'm now very aware that centralized money, the big players, have effectively, they are the whales that are manipulating the decentralized finance market by plunging their money in early, probably before it was even listed. They probably were putting their money in and buying tokens. I wouldn't be surprised. And so then they can manipulate the market from within by buying and selling large quantities. They then can, because it's a very small, it's still a small market, even though it's trillions. The total market of all assets and money in the world is hundreds and hundreds of trillions of dollars. So this is still a tiny market. So any big sale or any big purchase is going to make. That's why we see a lot of volatility in the market, because it's a small base, and so any big sales either way make a profound effect on the price of that token and of the overall market. So so anyway, we're going to see a lot more growth in decentralized finance, and in the maturation of it. It's going to get more and more decentralized in every way. So people tend to want to judge it on how it is now. Look, it's an evolution. It's just started. It's already the fastest growing asset class in history. So just buckle up and just watch it go. Also, we've seen the SEC case that got taken against XRP in late 2020. So XRP holders have had to endure a long year of this case hanging over their head, and even despite that, XRP has still grown by hundreds of percent, even with this SEC court case. If any other token, if there was a SEC court case against it, you could be pretty sure it'll either be down to zero or very close to zero. Yet behind the scenes, the amount of partnerships that XRP are doing, it's now hundreds and hundreds of financial institutions. Banks are now jumping on board with XRP because they see the real possibility that their central banks could throw them under the bus by creating a central bank digital currency that's cutting out the banks because it's central bank created. Retail banks are not central banks. Retail banks are customers of the central bank, much like in a way we are. We're just at the end of the chain. So banks now, to save themselves, are now jumping in on crypto. And so this is like, people might say, oh, they're getting, they're just part of the problem. This is part of the solution, if you can look at it the other way, in that it's just creating mass adoption, which is going to evolve over time. So people just need to chill out and let it evolve. We've also seen the massive public sort of prominence of the metaverse. The metaverse has come to the mainstream last year with the announcement of Facebook is getting into metaverse. It's changed its name to Meta. And again, the same thing applies. The big boys are getting in on it because they're greedy, because they went on the money. They don't want to be left behind, but they're already behind the eight ball. But the thing is about Facebook is they are committing $10 billion to the development of metaverse. They are headhunting people from all these other organizations. They are like all in on it. And look, I think the metaverse, like anything, it has a real dystopian side to it. I'm going to do a whole presentation on the metaverse in the next few weeks or month or so, because I think it really, some of the information I've found out about metaverse is quite eye-opening in more ways than one, and it is quite hair-raising, I have to admit. Their plans of what they want to do with the metaverse is really out the gate, and I won't go into that now because that's not the subject of this talk. But we've seen the rise of metaverse. This is all virtual reality and augmented reality, but there is a positive side to it. It isn't fully emerged yet, but I'm sure that there is a positive side to it. It's just that we've got to sort of do a bit more research on it to really figure out where this is going. Now, metaverse is huge also because it's connected to the NFTs and it's connected to gaming. And there's over 2 billion people that game in the world. Gamers make up an enormous market and a massive market. And they are drawn to the metaverse because they're already kind of participating in it in a 2D fashion. And it's about to go to 3D. It's about to go to more immersive. So we can't stop it. I mean, the gamers, if people want to choose to go in there, what we have to do is we just have to manage. We have to go through these processes of cycles. So so that's that. Also, 2021 was very dominated by conversations around regulation, particularly what's happening in America. because they're kind of seen as the kind of head office of world regulations. And we're seeing recently some major pushback happening from within the American government, which is really quite cool. There are congressmen and senators within the American government who are exposing the SEC. They and along with certain journalists, they are pushing for peoples-based regulation rather than a top-down driven regulation. Just today, one of their congressmen called Tom Emmer has promoted a bill, put a bill into their parliament, trying to ban the Federal Reserve from issuing their own Fed coin. And I think that is a really interesting thing. So it's watch this space, because with DeFi we have the advent of having decentralized data, decentralized ID. So we do not have to get our ID harvested going forward. It's just we need to get more people aware that this is even possible, so that then the people can push for it, they can call for it, and then it forces the governments to have to adopt it when the people see it as a bona fide, genuine, positive thing for the people. It's just our lack of ignorance that's holding us back. So we as sort of leaders in the space, we sort of feel like we've got to sort of stay abreast of these and help put our 2 cents worth in. Also, we've seen the advent of this ISO 20022. I called it regulation, but it's not actually a regulation. It's not actually a compliance thing. What it is, it's a financial and bank messaging system. So effectively, that's enabling the existing legacy system to be able to talk to the new crypto technology that is coming on board. And so then that enables, that's joining up the dots, if you like, between sending crypto from one place to another, no matter where it is in the financial world. So this is a type of messaging service that makes everything smooth and connected. And the initial projects that have joined up to that are kind of probably created it, I would say, is our 6 favorite tokens. I think there's 6 or 7 tokens: XRP, XLM, XDC, Quant, IOTA, and I think
Algo.
HBAR.
Was it Algo?
And Algorand, yes. Algorand, and also I believe HBAR is in there, and also I think Cardano is now in there.
Right.
So, which is really cool. So there's a nice each one of these tokens all have their rightful pulse. They're not all competing for the same thing. Each one has its own target market, own aspect of the market that they're going for. When people tend to think of crypto and they think of just currency, and they think, well, how can there be like 14,000 tokens, going for one basic function? It's not like that. These different cryptos are all solving different myriad of problems right throughout the whole system, the whole world, in fact. So there's from streaming YouTube videos to to social media to actual payment currencies to just little aspects of the system, linking links in the chain that do a very important function that enables the whole system to work. So there's many aspects to crypto and many different functions and target markets. Yeah, so that's really, I think that's some of the big things that I saw evolving over 2021. And over the holidays, there's been a lot of noise about regulation and this ISO standard. We've also seen some developments in some of our private projects. Daisy has rebranded to Uplift. The Daisy token is now called Lift. So if you haven't done that yet, you might want to look at doing that. And you can see Rama if you need help. That's what he's going to be helping with as well, just the ongoing day-to-day maintenance and management, because we realize, some of it is quite hard to get your head around at first.
Yeah.
We're seeing also Daisy's announced it's launching a kind of NFT linked to Bitcoin where you can earn Bitcoin. I don't know the details of that yet, but it sounds interesting. It sounds definitely positive. So that's one to watch. And apparently they're coming out with some more big announcements when they're doing this. They're doing a conference in Dubai in the next month or two. And they've launched their Forex trading, e-trading, bot trading platform. It's about to go live anytime. They've been doing the testing of it with a small amount, and it's about to go to live. Hyperfund has also rebranded to Hyperverse. What you'll realize in this crypto space, there's only one constant, and that's change. There's only one thing that stays the same, and that's nothing stays the same. And really, that's kind of true in the world right now. But when it comes to managing your own money and taking that self-responsibility to manage your own money, you're going to have to change the way that you operate. And you've got to sort of keep tabs on things, and we've got to sort of allow a bit more time and a bit more focus and effort, attention. Attention is everything to this space. If you've got to keep abreast of what's going on, and this is what a lot of what we're here to help you with. But the more you do yourself, the more confident you'll get, the less mistakes you'll make, the more you'll be able to make in enhancing protecting your wealth and making wealth. So that's kind of, there's no other real way to put it. It's up to us to take the bull by the horns and start making it happen. Because if we don't do it, decisions will be made for us, and they may not be to our liking. That's kind of how I see it. Also, with the Hyperverse, we've seen the launch of their HVT token, which is the Hyperverse token. It has now been linked to a smart contract, so we can earn rewards from holding HVT in your MetaMask. Still a lot more details to come out around that. It's still very early days. Also, over the holidays, I mastered the withdrawing some of my HU that we earn. We earn in HU, which is equivalent to $1. Now I've withdrawn it to the WHO exchange, which is HOO, WHO. You withdraw to the MOF token, which stands for Molecular Future. So as more I get to learn it, then I can pass it on. But once your account starts to build up to, a good amount, and I know some of you are starting to reach a good amount, you might want to start looking at how it works and do a little withdrawal and just get your head around how it works, so that it sets yourself up for the future. They've also relaunched their website. They've tightened up the security on the website. Obviously, it's now called Hyperverse, not Hyperfund. So they're adding Hyperverse is an aspect, their aspect of the metaverse. It's their contribution to the metaverse. And what they're doing is they're creating a virtual world in space, kind of like if you were on Star Trek or something and you're traversing around the universe. They are creating a simulated world, off-world. Um, so I find that really sort of quite fascinating in a way. I mean, I know if I love Star Trek. When I was a younger fella, I used to love Star Trek and all the sci-fi type stuff. And I think I would be drawn to it. Uh, but it needs more information needs to come out as to how it sort of looks. I don't yet know myself, and it's going to require some participation. And I know that some people will not be interested in participating, which is perfectly fine. They, from an investment point of view, they are wanting to go this way, obviously, to help the portfolio, if you like, to grow their business. But remember, Hyperverse is one aspect of a whole multi investment portfolio in the blockchain. Their companies spread the whole gamut of everything in the blockchain-based world, from exchanges, wallets, Visa card, their own card, and all sorts of other equity and lending programs and all sorts of stuff, billions of dollars worth of stuff. So the hyperverse is really only one aspect of a much larger ecosystem. And it's emerging as a parallel economy, which leads me into Everrich, which is also building a parallel economy. And now with Everrich, their token price has now gone up to $1.25. So for every W crew you hold, it is now worth $1.25 US. For some of you who got in the early days, that is a fairly substantial gain. And it's not going to go backwards because it's asset backed. It's an asset backed portfolio. So it can't suddenly go poof in the air. It's not a Ponzi scheme because it's truly backed. It's not robbing Peter to pay Paul to keep the whole scheme going. This is on a solid footing, on a solid ground level footing. So it is relaunching because it's a security token. Now, a security token means it's secured by the assets. So the fact that it's been approved as a security token means there is actually real securities there to enable it to exist. So those securities are, all the portfolio right across from offline. It's offline assets as well as online assets. Another very important distinction between other projects. And it's different from Hyperfund in that way as well, because Hyperfund is purely blockchain-based assets and blockchain-based investments. This is offline production, real production of making stuff that is fit for a new world. So that is also critical to this. And that whole asset portfolio, of which is about 20 different industries and many different investments, they are going to be revalued around the time of the relaunch. And that could see the price go significantly higher, even as high as $3. So we were waiting on that valuation till we know where we stand. So also the other thing is that they released their Profi investor course. Now they are going to create a situation where for newcomers coming in to buy the token, you have to be registered in one of the levels of this course. So you can just do the basic level and people can spend up to $10,000 buying the tokens. It's basically a weekend course. It's providing the ability for people to become a little bit more educated and knowledgeable on what they're actually doing and how the whole platform works and how the whole, basically just giving you more knowledge on the financial system and how it can operate in a truly positive way for the people, not just for the powers that be. So that is that some people are like, oh yeah, that's just more work involved, but it's really for our benefit. And there's a lot more stuff around that we'll go into as the year progresses. But there also, by doing these courses, you get significant discounts as well. And particularly if you're putting in a larger amount, you get up to 50% discount if you buy more than $10,000 worth of tokens. And so that's so you're getting rewarded for doing the work as well. And there's many aspects to this whole thing. There's a merchant side, then there's also the digital guarantees, which is a new asset, a new way of earning income based on crypto. There's so many things coming. It's kind of hard to keep up, even for myself, actually. And also the other key asset, one of the key assets that we've spoken about a fair bit is Global Unit Pay, which is our banking service. And they are proposing to bring out the IBAN banking account, which IBAN means international bank. It's a type of standard that you can have a proper bank account. Whereas at the moment we can hold money in there, but it's sort of, even your money is held in a wallet, like a crypto wallet. You also can hold your crypto in there as well, but your fiat money, your US dollars, your New Zealand dollars, they are also just held in wallets, perfectly safe, and they're all on our own native blockchain, but it's not an actual bank account where you could get paid into. You can't just give out an account number and send money there at the moment. You have to actually do a physical transaction to take your money out of your existing bank and put it in there. So once the IBAN is set up, then that's going to make it a lot easier to send our money there. It's going to be completely protected from bail-in laws or any other. It's going to be safe as houses. So we're looking forward to that. Yeah, so that's basically my recap. There's a fair amount of information there. Now, I could probably go on for an hour talking about what I see coming, but I'm going to try and make it as quick as I can, because I know we've got other things to talk about and there's questions to answer and that sort of thing. So what do I see in the future? Well, I think that as far as financial system goes and crypto goes, I obviously see continued growth in the market. We're going to see more and more tokenization of assets. We're going to see more and more fractionalization of assets, so that multiple people can share in micro investments, if you like. And it's going to help the younger people as well, and people could get, instead of being an accredited investor that you have to be now, you can get in on the ground floor and you can build up bit by bit, almost like a savings account, but investing. So your money is going to be safe, and it should be growing as well, which your savings are currently not doing. I see more like property is going to become huge. Property investment, where based on fractionalization, will be huge. We're going to see more decentralization. I know that there's going to be decentralized ID, decentralized KYC, or know your customer type things. I know there's a real concern at the moment with our data because social media has harvested all our data. They know everything about us. There's nothing that they wouldn't know. There was nothing they wouldn't know about us. And I think that having our ID and our data secure and on the blockchain in a decentralized manner that cannot be seen or touched or harvested by anyone else is going to be a massive leap forward in the decentralized space. I think we're going to see massive growth in the metaverse, like it or not. NFTs as well. They'll all go together. Metaverse, NFTs, and gaming. It's all connected. We'll see big growth in that. We're also going to see resolution of this SEC XRP case this year. I'm picking around April to June, and when that happens, then the fireworks are really going to start. And it's going to be huge what's going to happen on the backside of that, because then we're going to see really where the chips are going to fall, how the regulators are planning to regulate. A lot of tokens will go. This is why I recommend stick to the key ones, stick to the real ones you researched. Try and avoid the high risk small cap tokens. To me, that's like the casino. We're trying to get away from that. There's no real get rich quick here. It's really a slow burn. I've been involved in this for 7 years. This is my 7th year now. And whereas I have made good gains, I haven't yet made life-changing gains over 7 years. But in the next year to 3 years, I think we're going to see a massive, the growth curve is just going to really start to kick in. So the work we're doing now is foundational growth to set you up for the future. That's really what it's all about. I think we're going to see, maybe not this year, but I think maybe in 2023, I think we're going to see the fall of the US dollar. And on the back of that, there's going to be groundbreaking changes happening in this world. I mean, that is massive. It's pegged to gold. It's pegged to oil. Other than that, it's not backed by anything. It's actually been propped up by just money printing, which is not propping it up. It's actually doing the opposite. So they've got to keep printing more to cover up the problems that's created from the previous money they printed. So they're going to bring in central bank digital currencies. That is going to be a feature. They are what I am going to steer clear of, but we are going to have choice. We do not have to accept. I see a lot of fear and a lot of doubt and a lot of disinformation about that CBDC will be the only crypto that we can have, or something like that. I disagree. It's the DeFi is already too big. It's already growing too big, too fast, too quick. So I see two basic economies opening up, and many other little sub-economies. We're going to have a decentralized finance economy, where true decentralized finance, that is, and then we're going to see a centralized financial system that will also cooperate together, and then they are going to run together until eventually, I think, decentralization will completely consume centralized finance. But that could take 10, 20, 30 years. But we're seeing the emergence of that now, and I think that is to be celebrated. And the best way for us to make sure it happens is by participation. It is by getting on board. It is getting our knowledge up so we don't fall for the FUD. particularly in truther communities. I see so many people going, oh, crypto, it's connected to the ID, the digital ID and the digital VAX and all that. Yeah, CBDCs likely will be looked up to that. But if we're operating in DeFi, then and if we don't have to accept their money because we've created some resilience, then we're just going to continue to grow, especially when it's going to become obvious that we're going to be doing well. That will be when the real rubber hits the road, when other people see that we are actually able to operate side by side with the central system and we're profiting from it. It's water will seek its own level very quickly, and we will be the boats that benefit from that rising water. So this is going to be a pivotal year where we see things become manifest. We'll see the rise of XRP and XLM and the ISO 2.0 tokens to such a point that these are going to be key rails and key features of the new economy. And yes, they're going to interact with the existing central economy, but they are neutral. The thing is, they do not have favoritism one way or the other. What they, I believe, are doing is they are for everybody, including the banks. Because if we're going to take down the existing system, you don't do it by throwing sticks and stones and just trying to desert the existing economy and just try and go it alone. That's not the way to win the war. The way to win the war is to get inside the system. The Trojan horse can work for the benefit as well as for detriment. So this could be a people's Trojan horse for the bankers, and DeFi is what's going to leap out from that horse and eventually could consume their centralized control because it's simply already collapsing. It's already they're already trying to catch the fallout and try and piece everything together based on a very limited set of tools, which is all about enforcement and using governments to try and enforce as well. And the governments are in free fall as well. So, I think that they're already well on the back foot. And I think we're going to see what I call the super cycle of technologies converging with the financial system. We're going to see things like AI, gaming, NFTs, the blockchain, smart contracts, robotics, the CBDCs, DeFi, tokenization, what they call Web 3.0, combined with other things like the emergence of true free energy or free autonomous type energy that needs no power input, autonomous vehicles, space travel, 5G, weather manipulation as well. And some of these are obviously very nefarious, but these are all coming to prominence at the same time. So that makes it very, very interesting. Also, other things like med beds and 3D printing as well. They can 3D print a house now. They're 3D printing organs for a person. They 3D printing hearts for people, and they plan on 3D printing all sorts of other things like cars and anything. It's like phenomenal what they can do with 3D printing. So whereas like I say, everything has positive and negative. Everything is polarized. Everything has duality in this world. And any of this stuff could be used either for benefit or for detriment. So, but when they're all coming together at once, under the background of a falling, collapsing economy, a world economy, no less, and against the collapse of governments, the collapse of these old institutions, along with this planned Great Reset, which is their last-ditch desperate attempt to move us all into a socialist and then I think ultimately a communist type society. But there's people waking up everywhere. I mean, like look at what's happened in Kazakhstan. Their government has fallen and they have fled. So that, I mean, it was done in a very violent way, which is unfortunate. But we are seeing the collapse of the existing, systems and institutions that have been around for some of them for hundreds of years. And I think we're going to start to see that accelerate to the point where it's going to create an almighty, it's going to come to an almighty head. And we'll see a black swan event. We will see possibly things will go dark, possibly. I don't know, but I think that's highly likely. And we're definitely, I think, going to see the banks shut down and they're going to call what's called a bank holiday. And a bank holiday is not really a holiday. It is a time for them to reset the system. And it's a time to try and stop the runs on the banks because they know then the cat's out of the bag with the masses. And they're going to do like a 1929 event. They're going to try this. What in 1929, when the stock market crashed, they called a bank holiday, and then when they reopened, they had made all of these changes that significantly impacted on society. They made holding gold illegal, and but that was back then. This is now where people are far more awake. Coronavirus has worked to seemingly create a lot of more power for the governments, but I believe it's also worked to greatly wake up a lot of people, and an awakened population is far more powerful than anything that they can do in the long run anyway. So what I think we're going to see is a collision force of a lot of factors all coming together at once, and it's going to seem like the world is ending, and then we're going to just like pop out the other side into something completely different paradigm. So this is the changing of guard. This is a power play, a power battle going on at the very top level. And I think it's kind of necessary. It needs to come to a head so that people wake up enough so that this never actually gets repeated again for many, many generations. We need the painful, hard truth to come right in our face. People, unfortunately, will be leaving the planet, but those that are enough, hopefully there's plenty of us still left to then ensure that we create a system for the people going forward, and we kind of are under that experience where no one could say it's a conspiracy theory. It then becomes a reality that a new earth has to be created, and all the centralized power brokers get exposed. They will not be able to show their faces in public, and they will just disappear. And I believe that we will get a new type of capitalism that is not run by cartels. This is like they're trying to collapse capitalism. What they're doing is they're just we really need to collapse their form of capitalism, which is not free market driven. We need to get the governments get their fingers out of the financial pie, and they need to get the governments basically significantly reduced to a much smaller governance-based system where the people really have the say, and the state and finances have to be separated, absolutely. And because really, if we just get socialism, that's one step away from communism and fascism. And the capitalism that we've got is not actually capitalism. It is socialism, communism in disguise. The Federal Reserve is the ultimate Marxist organization. That everything is inverted in this world. Anything that we think is generally good is not good. And they are the masters of deception. These guys, whoever they are masters of deception, and they've deceived us into they've done a bait and switch on us, and we just need to recalibrate ourselves back into nature and to who we are, and get back to ground level, and get back to connecting with ourselves and with other people, and create a more free market driven, security driven, and when I say security, our data security driven world, where we can operate using the best of the blockchain technologies to protect our private information, to be able to converse and have freedom of speech again without getting censored, and without having our bodily integrity being invaded by pseudo scientists and pseudo bloody whatever they are, who really are not interested in our health at all, and not interested in our health or our wealth. So this is where the crunch time comes, and we're right at that point now.
Well, we're right at the beginning of it, aren't we?
Yeah,
Yeah,
we're
because
right at the beginning and the end. It's
well,
the end of
the end of the cycle. Can I just share a screen, do a screen share of if you can see that. So this is a product adoption curve. So we can replace product with systems, process, whatever. At the moment, we have probably 4 to 5% adoption, right? So we're not even early adopters. We are actually in the innovators part of the bell curve. So can you imagine, like Tony said, if we double to 600 million people, then that would come up to about 10%, right? We've got 6 billion or something. So we are, by learning about this space right now, and by laying our infrastructure, laying the foundations, our financial foundations, we are really on the ground floor. And now this whole space is remember the time in internet when you had dial-up, right? And it would make a lot of noise, and then when you wanted to look at a photograph, it would take like 15 seconds to download, and then you saw this photograph slowly appearing. And then came broadband, and immediately photographs became so accessible, and the broadband got faster. So that was the internet of data. And what really changed the internet of data was this tipping point of broadband. That enabled Netflix, it enabled YouTube, and it enabled a whole raft of things to happen. I think, as do a lot of people, that what we are approaching now is the internet of value. So DeFi is the internet of value. And what's going to tip it over is we are now at the dial-up stage where we are waiting for stuff to happen. And the tipping is when we have this introduction, when we have the broadband of liquidity. I think what seems to be happening is in this internet of value, what lubricates all these transactions is liquidity. And why we have this volatility is at the moment it's being controlled by the whales, like Tony said. But as more people come on board and we go into the early adoption stage, we're going to have more cash coming into the space, and therefore that will give more liquidity. That will make then transactions much easier. They won't be so clunky as they used to be. and it'll reduce the volatility of this whole situation. So it'll make it more stable, more secure, and less easy to be manipulated by, by certain people. So I think 2022 will be the broadband of the Internet of Value, where the liquidity will come into it.
Yes, and that's been very largely spearheaded by XRP and their innovation called on-demand liquidity.
Yes, that's
And
right.
to get real liquidity, you also need a higher price. And so as market value goes up, that's more liquidity in the market. But also XRP are solving a massive problem where basically you don't need to have what's called pre-funded accounts. Basically, trillions of dollars gets locked up in the market because they want the slow, laborious system that's full of fees and there's many middlemen and that slows everything up.
Middlemen fees. So what we're seeing is the disintermediation. Oh, you're right, Tony. Tony mentioned a few words. The middleman. So this is what is called disintermediation. But he also mentioned transparency. So the transparency of transactions, that will become really important. So that will then eliminate corruption. It'll eliminate governments and institutions with lack of transparency, because on that DeFi space, you can see every transaction. Of course, the transactions are pseudonymous. They're not, they're anonymous, but you can follow them and you can see, what's going on. So that's going to bring accountability to governments and institutions. It's going to bring transparency, and the other thing that you mentioned is privacy. I think there's quite a few projects working on this privacy issue, on how to preserve privacy while allowing you to do KYC stuff, right? Because the whole point of this supposedly is to prevent criminals and money launderers from operating within this system. But I think that all that KYC stuff that's come in, the regulation, I think has been, in a way, it's been a good thing, because it's actually driving out the criminals. Well, most of them anyway, until they get smarter and smarter. But if we can find ways to, like, say, an NFT proves that you are the owner of a particular token or something. So you can have NFTs that prove that you are the owner of your identity. And then you can use that NFT to do KYCs for different types of services and transactions, without actually revealing who you are. So then that maintains privacy of all the operations while maintaining security as well. So this is something I think we are looking forward to. And also, as decentralization goes on, we talked about governance, and I think the future of governance is going to be something quite, it's going to change a lot. It's going to change politics. It's going to change a whole lot of things. There are already states, various, government bodies that are experimenting with DAOs, right? Decentralized autonomous organization, in which the participants, the shareholders, the token holders, have the right to vote on projects, on directions to go, and all that sort of thing. So I think that's going to grow in 2022 already. And this is something we can explore even as the DeFi Freedom community. How could we eventually turn into a DAO so that actually all of you become part owners of DeFi Freedom, and we all participate in the direction that it goes, and then we can then choose to siphon funds into charities or into good causes, or create more funds. There's all sorts of things we could do in that direction. We talked about keeping money in the bank. Well, I was seeing a talk by Andrei Havratov, who's the founder of EvoRich, and he was showing basically the real cost of goods over 30 years. And the conclusion we came to is actually the real inflation rate is about 150%, and not 2 or 3% as the governments tell us. So what we need to do then, in order to preserve our wealth and grow our wealth, is to find ways to actually increase our wealth by over 150% per year. And I think this is his Andrei Havratov's vision of Profi Investor. So that I'm doing Profi Investor, and I'm finding it really useful for getting my head around investing and good practices. I put out on the Telegram the other day a new course that they put out called Game of Life, which starts on the end of the month. So have a look at that. It's I think it's about $200 or $180 US. But I think that what I've learned through Profi Investor and the 8 rules that Andrei Havratov talks about have actually changed my mind a lot around what investing is and the possibilities. And I think one of the big arms of EvoRich is to teach us how to become skillful and wise investors. So this is something I encourage you to consider, learning to invest and use the EvoRich platform to learn to invest, because that's going to be important if we want to actually increase our wealth more than 150% per year. Yeah. Anything to add to that, Tony? And Tony was talking about Hyperverse. So what Hyperverse is going to become is a system. I think for a lot of people, it could become a system of drawing income. And so rather than having to take your income out into Who and then changing it to USDT or whatever it is, you could keep it within the system and send it to your Hyperpay wallet, right? And then you could get a Hypercard. So say, for instance, from your Hyperverse, you send your MOFs, molecular futures, you can send it straight into your Hyperpay wallet. And then from your Hyperpay wallet, you can actually use the MOFs to pay for goods and services in the outside world. So you keep it within the system, and then you don't have to pay transaction fees, exchanging and all that. And then that's where it could then become a way of, like Tony says, a parallel economy where you are earning the rewards and then you are spending the rewards on a regular basis. So in the end, it becomes a way of life. It becomes a way of earning a living and a way of spending what you've earned, keeping it in the system. What is the difference between Hyperverse and Metaverse? Okay, so Metaverse is a virtual world. It's a virtual reality in which we've had video games ever since the internet, ever since the night. Well, not video games, but we've had role-playing games, right? Since the 1990s. I remember there were games called MUDs, and they were all text-based. You go in there and you join a whole bunch of people and you go on quests and I don't know, all kinds of stuff. But then came video games. And then from video games, this is the extension where it's an extended video game, but where you use real money. You're starting to use real tokens, and you are doing real trading. You do real trading, but you buy virtual land with real money. So you start becoming a landowner. You can build on it. You can trade. You can do all sorts of things. So it is a parallel economy based on real funds. And so now for some of us, this might be like, oh, it's a bit scary, but for those who played video games all their lives, it's like just an extension of that, right? And not only that, but now they can play video because I've had a son who used to play video games, and I was saying, you're wasting your time, you're wasting your hours and all that. Well, now they can come back and say to us, well, actually, Dad, I- you know, I'm actually earning more than you just playing my games. And there are people in various countries. I know Philippines is one of the top adopters of play to earn, where people are playing full time and bringing a living for their families. So it's going to change how we earn income. It doesn't mean that we are disappearing off the face of the earth, but it does mean that we can earn an income in a way that's more equitable, right? So we don't have to prove who we are to earn an income. There's no gender inequality. There's no race inequality. There's no socio-economic inequality. Anybody can participate and mingle with each other and trade and earn. So in a way, I know for some of us it's scary, but for a lot of people it's actually a huge opportunity in order to tap into wealth. So, and I think this is what the metaverse is coming from, because if you remember, metaverse, a hyperfund, I mean, was created by Chinese people, and they first tested it in the Asian market before it went. Were you saying something, Tony? Sorry.
No, it's my dog. It's my dog who wants to jump up on my lap.
Oh, right. And so they tested it on the Asian market, and so and these guys, one of them is a Chinese from China. He was one of the original blockchain miners. The other guy is a Chinese from Australia. He's been doing research with Monash University and stuff. But they have a finger on the pulse of people who are not necessarily, people who are maybe developing countries or people who are suppressed, right? I mean, because that's the history. That's the history of where they come from. I mean, China went through how long? 50 years, or well, it's still undergoing it, but 50 years of really hardcore communism. It's still communism, but in a different way. But those 50 years was a very, very hard time for the Chinese. So, I believe that what they're building is a way that they see is going to offer opportunities for all these people. So I think there will be a huge adoption, and being a part owner, a part member of all this will give a lot of opportunities to, as the adoption increases, the liquidity increases, Metcalfe's law goes into action, and the value of the system increases. What's the word when it goes exponentially, right? And being right at the beginning of that bell curve puts us in that position to benefit from the exponential growth. Finally, what I want to say is because someone asked, how can I contact Rama? So Rama is going to offer his services. Now, what we're going to offer is, shall I mention it now, Tony? What the consults and things like that?
I think maybe just put
Yeah,
it out on
yeah.
now.
Anyway, yeah. What it is we're gonna offer consults. So if you want to get in touch with Rama for any help, go through open a ticket, a support ticket through the support portal. So go to the website, go on members, click on the tab, you'll see there support portal. Click on that and open a ticket. That's the way to do it. So we're keeping the boundaries, and we're also keeping track of who's getting in touch, and we can keep track of who got in touch with whom. So yes, that's the thing to do.
Also, can I just mention,
Sure.
in a short answer to Mitch's question about the difference between
Yeah,
metaverse and hyperverse. The way I see it, the metaverse is like a generic term
yeah,
to describe the whole virtual reality world that is on offer, and hyperverse is one aspect of it that the fund that we're involved in
yeah,
is creating, which the hyperverse is
yeah.
their
Their
little
version. Yeah,
subset of
yeah,
a metaverse based on space travel and interacting with different planets and kind of, all the different characters you might meet, a bit like you imagine yourself
yeah.
in a virtual reality of Star Wars.
And
Yeah,
you can be who you want to be, because
yeah,
you can be an avatar, right? And so you can be like gender fluid, you can be whatever, you can be an alien, it doesn't matter, right? You are just an avatar in that space. So that can really open up a lot of freedom in some ways. Yeah, it can be a really, really interesting thing.
oh
And
yeah, definitely.
uh, uh,
It's probably
I was
us.
gonna, yeah, I was gonna answer another question, which was around. Someone said something. What's the difference? Um, yeah, you can watch it later. We're recording it. Can I have contact, please? Yep. Support ticket. Do you have links to learn how NFTs? Yeah, I was going to say about NFTs is what was I going to say? NFTs is going to be huge, and I'm learning about NFTs, and I will share that with you. But that's going to be very huge, because NFTs will be a way of earning cash quickly if you learn how to skillfully do it. So flipping NFTs, but also uh, growing capital. So capital gain, like the value of NFTs going up. But along with those NFTs, there are more and more projects that are issuing NFTs, which then give you access to the projects, which will give you um, preferential access to projects, preferential access to ICOs, and passive income. So the future of NFTs is actually as passive income. So this is something that's being developed as we speak, and that I think that's really, really exciting. Yeah. So guys, you know, apparently in 2020 there were 40 million millionaires made on the crypto space. No, 40,000 millionaires uh, created on the crypto DeFi space in 2020. So that there's a lot of opportunity there, and I think, as Tony was saying, there's all this change happening, and the biggest change, a lot of people say, oh, this all this change is scary. I'm getting anxious, and it looks terrible, and they're going to take control of us and take everything away from us. That is if you want to look at it that way. But we can look at it in another way. We can look at it as these people have given us the opportunity, the biggest opportunities that we've ever had in the history of humankind. So the biggest changes are where there are the biggest opportunities for the best prepared. And what we are trying to do in DeFi Freedom is to prepare you and, lay the foundations. This is what we've been doing with our projects. And then I think then 2022 and 23 will be when the compounding effect, the exponential growth happens. And that's when you're going to see your infrastructure, your foundations bear fruit. So, yeah, so we're really, I'm looking forward to 2022. I think Tony is, and I reckon Rama is too, aren't you, Rama? Oh, yeah,
I
yeah,
am, definitely.
yeah, cool. And any other questions? Can we? Do you have links to learn? Apply NFTs to properties. I think it's at a very, very early stage. So I would you can look up on YouTube, see if you can find anything. But this is something that probably needs to be developed,
Whoops.
over the next year. How does crypto link in with the new to be introduced global digital currency? Well, digital currency, as Tony said, is a centralized digital asset or digital currency, digital money, while crypto is decentralized digital money. So it's they can live side by side. So like the future central bank. Hang on, let me get that right. The central bank digital currency, right? This is their white paper or something. It's a document. You can download it, by the way. Go to Reserve Bank of New Zealand. Download it, have a read. I haven't read it yet, I must admit. But when that comes out, it will be like the money that we have now, fiat money. So we use it to, go and pay our institutions, our electricity bill and whatever. But there will be the parallel currency where we may pay each other in crypto, and and they can perfectly live side by side. So that's going to really create that variety of options we can have. Yeah.
Also, with regards to the property NFTs and property fractionalized ownership,
Yeah.
there's a couple of projects people could research. One's called Propi, Propy, and another one's called Realty, real, and then
Okay.
just
Okay.
little
So
t.
maybe you could research that. Maybe come back to us, and we can do some research too. Because property is another way of investing. So we will look at that eventually. Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah. Any other questions, guys? NFTs are also the other thing I wanted to say about NFTs is NFTs are being launched and created in order to raise money for charities. Yeah. So there was one, I think it was called Drop Bears or something Bears. And basically it's a range of NFTs that sold like hotcakes in order to raise funds for to save the bears basically. And the amazing thing about this is I suspect that when they created the NFTs, the royalties were built in. So could be like 10% royalties. And so those royalties can go to the charity. And the interesting thing is each time that NFT is on sold, the royalty is locked into the smart contract. So each time the NFT is on sold at a higher price and a higher price and a higher price, the royalty goes back to the charity, and they're getting more and more over time. As the prices go up, they're getting more and more. The royalty gets bigger and bigger. So there are lots of opportunities for projects that can actually help people, help the environment. And I believe that this will be a time also where we can actually start cleaning up the world, cleaning up the environment, protecting the various species, protecting human heritage, which has been destroyed by wars and things like that. And yeah, so for me, that's my passion. We all come with different passions, but that for me, to protect the elephants in Malaysia, the tigers, which are so endangered, but which are still being killed for their fur, for their so-called medicine, and it's like crazy. So I'd like to see this space actually be put to work to reverse all that. There we go. So, once again, we'll be doing some interesting stuff. We'll be offering some interesting mini webinars and to deal with different processes, in your DeFi. We are also offering study groups. So we'll implement that within the premium membership. So this is all the more reason why we encourage you to become a premium member, because we really want to offer more and more value to to you guys over this year. So, but thanks very much for supporting us over last year, and we look forward to carrying on and building on that over this year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Great. Yeah, well said, Gerald. Yep. And look forward to having a prosperous and smooth 2022.
That's right. Okay, well, we'll talk to you. We'll talk to you soon. Yeah, sometime next week. So have a good weekend and enjoy. And yeah, hope you enjoyed this. See you then. Bye.
Yeah. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Cheers.